Hey everyone, hope you are all doing great. I am Partharu, Events and Program Manager for Microsoft Reactor. And yes, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all who all are joining us globally. Before we start our today's event, let's go through our code of conduct. We all are here to learn together, participate together. So please be respectful of other people's views, understanding the differences, be kind and considerate in a way we all engage. Yes, we do encourage you all to participate. Please drop all your questions in the chat section and we will pick it up from there. Now, I would like to tell you about this series. I am sharing a link of the series page. This is a three-part series where we have three series. You can find the link in the chat section and yes. So I would like to now bring in our speaker for today's event. That's Sagnik. Hey, hi Sagnik. How are you?
Hello, hi everyone. Hi Parth. Good. How about you?
All well, Sagnik. I'd like to introduce you to our audience. So here we have Sagnik Banerjee. He's a senior consultant at Microsoft and he has an extensive experience in AI engineering. So he specializes in leveraging innovative tools like GitHub Copilot, enhancing productivity and streamline coding process. So he has a passion for technology and a commitment for continuous learning. That's great. And he's been dedicated to help others and harness the power of AI in his projects. So, yes, we have Sagnik here, and yes, Sagnik, today is our first event of the series Code with Intelligence, exploring GitHub Copilot. So, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Parth. Thank you for this introduction and thank you for this opportunity as well. And as Parth mentioned, right? So we will deep dive into how can we use GitHub Copilot. So as an AI engineer myself, how can we actually use GitHub Copilot in our daily life, right, like how the GitHub Copilot would enhance my productivity in my day-to-day work. um, so this series, I know this is the first session of this series, and probably the upcoming sessions would talk more about um, installation of GitHub Copilot, and probably most of you already know or already uses Copilot. Probably I would like to set the context over here. So this particular session will mostly talk about how an AI engineer would get benefited from GitHub Copilot, and how it increases the productivity of an AI engineer, right? Um, so let's get started with it. Okay. So yes, this is me, and here is my LinkedIn handle. You can feel free to scan this QR and follow me and ask questions, whatever is required, and I'll be able to help you answer all this. Okay. Okay. Copilot effect, right? So all we know, I think most of us are using Copilot a lot. It's not only the GitHub Copilot. Probably Copilot is now embedded into our operating system, into our MS Office, into Microsoft Edge, anywhere, everywhere you want, like, right? So probably you have got a test of how Copilot is helping you in your daily life, and then how it increases your productivity as well. I believe you have a ton of session on those things and how things are helping you out there. But this GitHub Copilot, yes, helps to maximize, our developers like us, their productivity, their happiness, and accelerate the software development, right? So this is how Copilot is helping us a lot, um, in our day-to-day life, right? um okay, so like how Copilot, the GitHub Copilot actually works, right? So you ask a question, you give the context to the Copilot, and it tries to give you back a code, or help you to write the code of your question that you are asking, right? So you know so for this, probably the Copilot would need some context, and probably you can give the context by writing some commands, or maybe you have already written some code, and then you are selecting that part of code and asking, what is wrong in this code, and please help me out, right? So GitHub Copilot gets the context and helps to give you back the answer accordingly, right? So so there are two types of Copilot that we have, right? So one is, one, we have the chat interface. The other is the Copilot that we have, that I was showing in the previous slide, right? So there are, like, we call these two sections as, one we call as a normal Copilot that helps you with when you give the context of the code, and it brings back the code to your editor. That's a Copilot, right? And then there is Copilot chat. So the animation that you are seeing right now on my screen, this is the Copilot chat. So here you are directly asking a question, like, when you usually go to your Copilot, a normal Copilot, or maybe let's say, your Windows Copilot, right? So you ask a question, you get back an answer, right? So similarly, we have this GitHub Copilot chat as well. And if you ask a question like this, it would try to give you an answer based on. So here here, if you see this thing, like, it is asking for the documentation, like, can you create the documentation, or maybe help with the error handling, etc., etc. So that's how the Copilot chat is helping out over here. Okay. Okay, now, yeah, the Copilot and the Copilot chat that I was talking about, right? So probably, let's talk about a difference, right? So Copilot has been, or can be seen in your coding assistants, can be seen as your coding assistant. This would be to speed up your coding process and get suggestions for your code snippets, right? Whereas your Copilot chat is like your research assistant, right? You are trying to, so instead of going to your browser and asking something over the Bing search or anything, right? You are asking the assistant directly, and it is trying to give you an answer, right? So that's the difference between your Copilot and the Copilot chat, right? And then probably, um, you know GitHub Copilot helps you with the direct code writing. So, like, whenever you are actively writing code and want some auto suggestions or something, right? So GitHub Copilot helps you to come up with certain auto suggestions, and then probably you can accept those suggestion, or you can reject those. But yeah, I'll show you in my demo, like, how things, like, how the auto suggestions or anything works. But then it is also like a seamless IDE integration, right? So Copilot is, directly integrated into your Visual Studio, or maybe the VS Code. And so if you are coding with your VS Code, it provides you with a seamless experience, right? And obviously, it helps in your solo development, right? So when you are yourself an individual contributor, and you are using Copilot, you just have your Copilot to help you out with your code, right? So it's like your own friend to help you out with your coding part, right? But then here comes the Copilot chat, which helps you with an in-depth assistance, right? So you are asking, like, so for example, think about this in such a way that you are doing some coding, and you want a mentor, right? So who would help you to understand a piece of code, or help you to explain a piece of code, or maybe help you with some error handling, or fixing certain errors, etc., etc. So that's where the Copilot chat comes into picture. Like, so for example, like, let's think about some olden days where you are writing some code and you are stuck because of some error, and you go to your browser, search for the error, like what is exactly happening, and and then probably you try to fix that error. But here comes the Copilot chat assistance, right? Where you are facing an error, you give the context that, what, I'm facing this error, help me out, and it will try to help you out with the specific um, area that is being affected by the error, right? So it gives you a good in-depth assistance for your code, right? And then there is it helps you with your learning and teaching. So for example, this session that I'm taking, right? So and probably will see in my demo as well how I am leveraging the Copilot chat assistant to help you out with a very specific code, or maybe in my daily day-to-day activity as an AI engineer, how I ask questions to the chat assistants and how it gives me answers back, which helps me to write my code effectively, right? And yes, obviously it helps you with a very collaborative scenario. You don't have to go back and forth to your browsers and do all this stuff, right? So all everything is in one place, and then you are just asking question, getting back answers, and that's how interactive it is to help you out with your coding part. Okay. Let's move forward. Probably you can scan this out as well. So this will help you to download your Azure VS Code extension for Copilot. And this extension will also have information around, like, how you can install this as well, right? So it's a very good documentation that you can find out over here, and you can get started with the Copilot extension. Cool. Now let's talk a bit about how the Copilot actually works, or probably what you need to keep in mind when you get started with your GitHub Copilot to get an effective answer out of Copilot, or maybe go get an effective help from Copilot, right? So there are like four areas that we need to target. So one is the intent, the next is the context, clarity, and specificity, right? So intent is like, you are giving a direction to the Copilot, saying that, what, I need, this is the goal, right? So I want to achieve XYZ by writing this code, right? And then I'll give you need to give some context, so you can give some examples so that when Copilot tries to answer, it would understand, okay, you are looking only for a um, specific set of answer. So let's say, like, I'll just give an example, right? So you are trying to write a classification model for your machine learning, right? Classification models, right? So you are trying to write a classification model, and then you want to write an example, right? So there can be lots and lots of classification models, right? So but you are saying that I want my classification model to give me an output whether an email is a spam or a ham, right? So whether an email is actually a spam or not, I want to detect that. So that's an example that you are giving me, right? And giving to Copilot, and then you are trying, and the intent is, right, you're trying to create a classification model, and then you want to give a clarity to it as well, so that it understands easily, like, this is what you are expecting. And then obviously the specificity, providing a precise and detailed information, so that there is a very small bit of room for ambiguity or interpretation. Obviously, like, it's an AI tool, right? So there will be situations where it will not able to answer the specific set of question, or maybe it is giving an answer which you are not satisfied with, right? So you would like to specify, like, what exactly you are looking for. And that's how you get the best out of Copilot. Okay, now, I think this part is quite self-explanatory, but again, I'll go through this, right? Like, how the Copilot is actually being used for so this example is just a slide that explains, like, how we can use Copilot for some Azure kind of development, right? So let's say the first one gives an example of, like, about learning, right? So you are asking, like, what are the different types of Azure OpenAI models available, or maybe what is Azure AI search and why do we use Azure AI search, etc., etc. So it tries to give you some content around the Microsoft Learn or some other websites, etc., etc., and then probably it will try to summarize the answer that you are trying to you are trying to ask to it, right? So it helps with learning. So, and then probably you want help with your CI/CD deployments on probably Azure CLI, right? Like, so it can help you with that as well, right? With giving you direct commands on, how the deployment can happen. So you can ask, like, can you help me to build a RAG application with Python? Obviously, it will give you the code with a RAG application. I need a CI/CD pipeline to deploy my app, right? So it will definitely, the Copilot chat assistant will give you that code as well, right? And then, as I was talking about the troubleshooting part, right? So you are stuck somewhere in your code, and you help uh, with the solution of the blocker, right? So that also is coming up, and that also it helps, right? And then Azure resources as well, like, get your answers about a specific Azure resource. So you have connected your VS Code to your Azure resource, and then you are asking question on specific to that particular resource, right? So it will try to find out answers from your Azure resource and give you back the answer. So if you ask, like, a question, like, how many Azure OpenAI deployments I have, so it would try to get into the resource, or probably the subscription, or the resource group that you have connected your VS Code with, and then probably it will try to give you the answer, right? And it also talks about the costs as well, right? How much costs you are incurring because of the deployments or developments that you are doing on your Azure. It helps you with that part as well. So it's like a all-rounder for you, right? It not only talks about the publicly provided information on, for example, Microsoft Learn or any other websites, or any other blogs, Microsoft community blogs, that is available over the internet, but also it talks about certain private informations, like your own Azure subscriptions, as well as your subscription cost, etc., etc. So if you give permissions to your subscription, it will try to get information out of your Azure resources and give you answers that you are asking it to, right? So that's how Azure, the GitHub Copilot helps you with different Azure prompting. Probably you can try this out as well in your free time, and probably let us know how you feel around this, right? There are some limitations for sure, yes. I mean, obviously, these are based out of Copilot is based out of certain OpenAI models. The models may not be up to date, so there can be data impact on the suggestions, that it is giving out, right? So probably, it is trying to give you an answer of, you are asking a question, and around a Python code maybe, and then it is giving you out an answer which may not be the latest, which may not use the latest libraries, right? So it can happen, right? Because the GPT, probably if you use GPT 3.5, right, so it is being trained till the data set that has got till the year 2022. And then obviously there are more enhanced models as well, but um, there can be situations where it gives you an outdated suggestion. So that's what I am talking about. The second thing is like, your copilot is not your compiler. Okay, so it gives you an answer, but it doesn't guarantee you that you know the code will run entirely, right? So it is up to you who would try to figure out, if the code that has come out of Copilot is actually running or not. And that's the reason you have to debug it yourself, right? So Copilot is not your compiler that would give you an absolutely 100% success rate every time. There will be scenarios where the code might not run, and you might need to fix it, right? The second thing is, obviously, the AI can't read your mind. Definitely, you are asking something and you are not specifically clear, or maybe you are clear, but still it is not giving you the answer that it is desired for. Obviously, it can happen, right? At the end of the day, it's an AI tool. So yeah, that's another limitation. And every copilot needs a captain for sure, and you are the captain, right? So copilot is not your captain. Copilot is not driving you. You are driving the copilot. So this is something, yes, that we need to keep in mind when using the GitHub Copilot. Cool. You can scan this again. These will give you certain examples of certain GitHub Copilot prompts for Azure. This one is like really cool. It's a very good document. Have a look at it. It will give you some idea around, like, how to get started with Azure prompts, specifically around for your Azure development. Okay, moving on. So probably this particular slide uh, talks more about how Copilot is, or how I use Copilot for my AI ML applications. Okay. Um, Obviously, Copilot, I definitely use Copilot for data analysis tasks. Like, I have got tons and tons of data, and then if I try to analyze, or maybe um, what I would say, as part of as an MLM engineer, whenever you get a lot, whenever you get data, obviously the data is not clean, right? You need to clean the data. You need to do some pre-processing. You need to analyze the data. Now, in earlier days, obviously, we would write all this code one by one and then try to understand. But now we have Copilot. So I give an example of how my data is to the Copilot, and the Copilot writes a code accordingly. Obviously, the code would not run at the first go, but definitely after certain kind of tweaking, definitely um, the data analysis or the data cleansing part becomes easy for me. That's how my productivity increases, right? And then obviously I use Copilot to enhance my machine learning models as well. I'll give you a short demo around how probably you can build your own machine learning model, even though you have like little bit of idea around like how machine learning model works, but probably um, you don't have much coding experience, right? So how Copilot can help you to do that as well. So I'll show you that as well in a short while. And then you have employ copilot for data pre-processing workflows. I was talking about that, just like, right, that you want to have your pre-processing workflows in place before, or data cleansing process in place before you start with your actual modeling. So yeah, this is very important, right? And that's how the copilot helps you to increase your productivity around the data cleansing part, and then probably get started with the machine learning analysis as soon as possible. And then you have utilize copilot for generating documentation. This is like very, very handy tool now. So whenever you write a code, obviously you need to have your documentations in place, right? Probably this is one of the smartest tool and one of the easiest way to generate your documentation and increase your productivity, because no one likes to likes to um, write documentation after writing so much of code, right? So that's quite a help for developers like us, right? And then obviously enhance collaborative coding efforts with real-time suggestions from Copilot that I was showing you earlier, right? So hope this makes sense, and how actually I am kind of using Copilot in my day-to-day activities. Okay, we'll quickly jump into the demo, and then let's see. Okay, cool. So I have my VS Code, I have my Copilot. So if you see this icon, I have my Copilot enabled, and this is my Copilot chat, right? What I'll do is I'll try to create a new file. Maybe I'll just mention like sample.py something something. See, let's get started with this only. I will just zoom this a little bit for, oh, this is too much. Okay, this must be fine. Okay, should be fine. Cool. So what we will do is we'll try to ask, like, let's say I want to create a regression model, right? So I'll just ask, like, write a Python code to demo regression model in ML. Okay, and you can see I'm using GPT 4.0. You have a lot of options: 4.1, O3 mini. Probably 4.0 is a better option to get started with, right? So okay, cool. I am asking it to demonstrate regression. Regression, right? So it helps you to okay, let's just accept it first, and then we'll get to know more. So regression, right? So it's like you are trying to um, have a model that helps you to give a continuous kind of predictability of a question that you are asking, right? So you know in I mean, in simple terms, in very, very simple terms, I don't know like how many of the listeners right now are having the machine learning experience, but in very, very simple terms, in machine learning you can have like a basic two kinds of model. One is the regression, the other is the classification. So in regression, it's like, for example, you want to predict a person's income based on his age. So an income or a salary is maybe a continuous variable, right? So it increases linearly or maybe exponentially, something somewhere based on the age. So that's kind of, I would say, um, um, a linear comparison between what you are trying to predict. So that's a classic regression problem. The classification problem that I was mentioning, like, it can be, the answer can be either yes and no. So for example, you are trying to detect whether a credit card transaction that has happened is actually a fraud transaction or not, right? So the answer can be either yes or no. So depending on different kinds of features or different kinds of data points, you can predict that whether a credit card a transaction is fraud or not. And that is a classic example of classification model, right? So right now I'm trying to demonstrate a regression one, and if you see here, it has just given me a piece of code, a lot of code. Probably I don't want to plot anything right now. I just want to get the mean square error or the R score that would help to determine whether how the code is actually performing. Okay, let me save it. And okay, one more thing is, I believe so. This is a new environment, right? So probably I don't have all these. Libraries installed right now, so that's how I can do, right? So for example, I open the chat, or probably not open the chat, I'll show you from here. I'll just say, like, you get an option called Copilot. You say that add file to the chat, and then you ask, like, generate the um, generate requirements file containing all the libraries that I need to install to run this code. Okay, so probably it will try to give you something. Okay, so it will try to generate that requirements file for me. You see, it has generated the file, and it says that you need a numpy and a scikit-learn. That should be enough to run your code. Okay, so probably that's how it is. That's what it is saying. So I'll just save this, and good. Now let's say I open the terminal, and what I want to do is I want to install this in a new environment. So probably I'll just create a new Python. This is like, so I'll just create a new Python virtual environment. Let me name it as demo VENV. Okay, so a new environment should get created. Now, what I would ask is, probably I would try to run this, run my sample file in my virtual environment, right? So let it complete. Let it first create this virtual environment, and then we'll talk. It's taking some time, but ideally, once this virtual environment is created, probably I'll try to install all my requirements inside my virtual environment, and then probably try to run this Python file. Okay, now it has created, correct? Now probably you can ask the Copilot over here as well. So if you just press Control I, and then you can ask, like, install all the dependencies from requirements .txt in the virtual env. Okay, so probably we'll get started. You see the magic over here. Okay, so if it has given you the um, command that you want to run, so probably you can just hit run from here, and then it will get started. So it first activates the new virtual environment that has got created, and then probably it will start installation of the requirements.txt. So it in a little while, you see it has started collecting all the dependent libraries that it needs to install, and then it says that okay, installing this 1 2 3 4 packages right now. Okay, so let's give it some time. It obviously it takes some time to install. And you see, like, this is how easy it is, to get started with a very complex topic like machine learning using Copilot. Just you have your Copilot, you have your VS Code, and it's very easy to to get started with your coding, and that's how your productivity increases a lot, right? So yeah, let it run, let it complete. It usually takes some time. So in this code, probably when it is installing, probably I'll try to go through what it has written over the code. You see, a proper comments and everything has been provided to make it to make yourself understand how things are actually working in your are helping you to demonstrate, right? So it has just generated some certain random numbers, and then it is trying to do a uh, training of those data using linear regression, and then trying to fit it inside the model, and then with the predicted value, we are trying to find out we are trying to evaluate how the model has been trained. So it tries to give out the r squared score and the mean square error. So lower the error, the better is your yes, the lower the error, the better is your model performing, right? So we'll see, like, how our model uh, error kind of looks like right now. So let's say now everything is installed. So I'll try to run this code, right? So I'll say that probably Python sample.py, and if it runs, hopefully it wouldn't give me an error, because it is generated by GitHub, so there can be errors, but yeah, I think they should run fine. So right now it is trying to load the data, and then you see, yes, it's giving the mean square error and the r squared score. So the higher the r square score and lower the mean square error, the better the model is for you. So right now this model is not that accurate, I would say, because the scores are quite similar. Probably we'll try to see, like, how the um, if I try to plot this, let's see how the things looks like, right? So probably I will just import. Okay, I haven't installed matplotlib, right? So again, I would probably ask GitHub Copilot, please install matplotlib. Okay, so it will try to install as well. Okay. Oh, something happened. Let me clear this. Yeah. So I'll just insert into terminal and then try to run this. Okay. Now, once the matplotlib is installed, probably we can see, like, how the linear regression model is getting plotted over uh, in the screen, right? Just give it a moment. Probably we can also ask to generate some other variations of the regression models, and then give us the best model out of all those variations, and help us to deploy that model. Probably we'll try that out after installation of this matplotlib. Let's see. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can start putting on the chat. Okay, so installation is complete, and then probably we'll try to see. Let's clear this out. Okay, so let me bring over here. So that's the model that is coming out over here. There's a plot that is coming out over here, but definitely there is room for improvement for sure. Okay, now let's see. Let's ask, like, give us. Let's close this terminal. Oh, it's got stuck. Okay, just let me reopen this. Okay, sorry about that. There is some technical problem, but yes, now it has got started. So probably again, I'll go to the chat and then I'll ask, like, can you provide some more variations for regression model? And then probably I'll ask, like, and then provide the best perform provide the best performing model. Okay, let's see. Okay, so probably okay, it hasn't. So okay, what I'll do is I'll give you let me give it a new context. So probably I'll just build a new file and then say, model variations dot model variation. Just bear with me. There is some technical glitch over here, and probably because of my internet connection, so it didn't give up that. So yeah, I'll just ask, like, provide some more, provide code to demo some more regression variations and help to deploy the best model on, let's say, maybe Azure ML, maybe. Okay, so let's ask this. Probably it would give some more demonstration, and so if I just accept this, so it has, if you see here, it is also doing some linear regression, some random forest regression. Okay, and then probably it is also trying to find out the ridge and lasso models out of the linear regression, and then trying to evaluate, what is the best mean square error. So if the mean square error is, the list, that is the best model, and then it's trying to generate a pickle file out of the best model, and then yeah, it will try to deploy that model into the Azure resource, right? So probably we can skip this Azure resource part, but if we run this particular code, hopefully what it would do is it would try to generate um, the best model, and it would give me the best model out of this, right? So probably, okay, I can save this best model using joblib. So if I just save this and then probably just run the model variation, hold on for a second. Okay, now if I just maybe just run this. Oh, my pandas is not installed. So again, if I just try to install, let's say, pandas, it again would take some time. Sorry about that. I think we should have installed all the dependencies first, but yeah, it's okay. You can understand, like, whenever you are trying to generate your code, and probably play around, like, different models, try to understand what would be your best model. Obviously you would find certain areas where you would need certain libraries or dependencies that you would keep on need to install, right? So definitely yes. So yeah, that's how you do it. And I hope that you understand, right? How the GitHub Copilot is actually helping you to enhance your productivity, right? So it's been like maybe 15-20 minutes now, and I'm able to show you that how different linear regression model actually works, right? So that's how the GitHub Copilot is helping me as an AI engineer to enhance my productivity for sure. Okay, I think there is a question I am seeing. I want to ask a question. Is it possible for Copilot to create system design documents like diagram? Okay, yes and no. So I mean, definitely, a Copilot can help you to design or to help you to generate your diagrams, but it is extremely difficult because Copilot is very poor right now with the flow diagrams and everything. But definitely it can help you to generate your documentation like a proper written documentation based on your code that you are running, right? So diagrams probably no, but yeah, it can help you to prepare the diagram for sure. Okay, so let's try to run this code. Let's try to run this code. Hopefully it will help us to give us some answers. Okay, something has gone wrong. So what it is saying is, okay, so it is asking for a data set. I don't have a data set for sure. So probably I would need to change this. And I would say that control I, or there's no data set. Can you generate some random data set? Okay, let's see what it does. Okay, I'll accept this and probably I'll remove this data set. Okay, now let's see. So you can understand, right? Whenever you are trying to start, obviously there will be these hiccups that I had just asked it to generate different variations or models, but it didn't knew that I don't have a data set, right? So just for the data. Okay, so you see it has generated, and then it says that these are the mean square error, and probably the best model is the lasso model, and see it has also generated a best model pickle for me, which I can actually deploy in my Azure and start predicting out my answers. So that's the demo that I was trying to show you, and that's how you can get started with your machine learning journey along with your GitHub Copilot as your assistant. Okay, one more follow-up question. It is necessary to mention the workspace, or can one prompt file file basis. So if you mention the workspace, it would help to get a better like Copilot would get a better context. If you do a prompt file by file as well, that is also fine. But workspace would give it a better context because it would understand what all the file has got, and it would try to answer in that fashion. But if you go file by file, it would just have the context of that particular file. It depends on what question you are actually asking. If the question is like a very specific to a file, go for the file by file basis as a context. Otherwise, go for the workspace. Hope that answers. Okay, probably I'll go back to my PPT and so what I would say is scan this. You will get a series of videos as well around how to get started with Copilot and Azure resources. And I think somebody mentioned if there was if I can provide the prompts. I mean, these prompts are like very very simple. These are like normal English prompts, like whatever you want to ask a question, just ask it and it would give you the answer, right? So I was giving you I think this one as well. The You can scan this also. It would give you an example prompts, a lot of example prompts. How do you get started with all the GitHub Copilot using these prompts. And then probably this one is also a very good resource as well. Okay, cool. I think that's all I had for this session. And thanks a lot for joining this session, and hope you have enjoyed this session a lot.
Thank you, Sagnik. It was an exciting session. Yes, meanwhile, can you share this link to me over a chat? Like I can share it with the audience here. And
This deck, right?
yep, yep. So there is
Yeah,
a link, AKMS. Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do
Yeah.
that.
And meanwhile, folks, I have like shared a few of other links for the GitHub fundamentals, the Copilot, GitHub Copilot fundamentals, and GitHub Copilot app development. So please go through that. It will help you for your further learning. And thank you so much everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Sagnik, for hosting this beautiful event. And please do go to the series page. We have another event coming up. Okay, so I have a link from Sagnik. I will just share it with you. Yes, here's the link. Can Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sagnik. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And hope you all have a great learning. Thank you. Thank you.